Welcome back, fellow internet adventurers. Get ready for another wild ride through Reddit's strangest stories. We're diving deep into the internet's quirkiest corners. Grab your popcorn and join us on this adventure. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like. Let's get started. My now ex-wife was caught cheating after I hired a PI. I knew I wasn't stupid. Thank God I hired a private investigator. Without him, I'd probably still be married, wondering if my wife was cheating and not being able to prove anything. My ex-wife cheated on me while on vacation. She took our son with her. It was supposed to be just a girls' trip, but I wasn't having that. We had gone down that path early in our relationship before marriage, and I still believe she cheated. I just couldn't prove it. So, when my ex-wife, Maggie, and my name is Jeffrey, by the way, you can say my name, but please don't share my email, met in 2004, we were both 15 years old. I met Maggie at the mall. I was there with my friends and cousin. Back then, we'd basically go to the mall to meet girls, and girls went to meet guys. We tried to wear our best outfits and see how many numbers we could get. Such different times back then. I think now everyone meets on the internet. Anyway, we met very young and pretty much talked on the phone every day throughout high school. We'd go to school sporting events together, but we didn't actually go on a date until senior year. We still never made anything exclusive. We both went to prom with different people at our own schools. We were just friends and never intimate. Nothing past kissing, until we were both 21. We went to different colleges but met up while in college in 2010. She drove to my school, which was 3 hours away. I remember she got there at 3 a.m. She showered, and when she got to my room, she told me I didn't drive all the way here just to sleep, and that's when we first had sex. We had been talking for months before she came to see me. The next morning, she told me she wanted to be my girlfriend. We went and had breakfast, and that's how we started our relationship. It was great. We both finished school, and I proposed right after graduation, 2 days after, to be exact. This is when the first incident happened. She had a trip planned for her friend's birthday to Las Vegas, but not her friend's actual birth date. Let me explain. My fiancée and her friends all appeared on an episode of The Real World sometime prior in Las Vegas when they visited on her friend's actual birthday in December. I remember them being excited that it wouldn't be so hot, and their participation in the show wasn't planned. Their trip was a bit altered because the producers wanted them to be in more episodes. None of the extra episodes they joined in on before flying back were aired, as they were all edited out due to paperwork, but they were briefly in one scene leaving a club and going to the Hard Rock Hotel with cast members. Maggie claims they didn't do anything but chat a lot and play board games. Maggie and one friend were 21, while the other girls weren't, and they had fake IDs. That's part of the reason why MTV decided to exclude them from whatever else they filmed. But in 2012, they were supposed to go back and really celebrate Maggie's birthday as they had planned before, but it was altered because of possibly joining the show. So, I was cool with it. It was a 2-week trip. For the first 3 days, Maggie would call me often, saying, "Hey, we just woke up. We're headed here," and I'd talk to her while they were doing something. She would call every night before bed. But then, on the 4th day, she didn't call at all, and I didn't want to bother her, so I kept myself busy. On the 5th day, she called me with a hangover, saying they went out and drank a bit too much. I asked her who the designated driver was and how they all got back. Maggie said they slept in the car outside of the club and didn't call because her phone was dead. Maggie then told me to hold on for a second, and I could hear that she put the phone down on the bed. One of her friends, who was also in a relationship, said, "Oh my gosh, that guy's dong was so big. He rearranged my insides. I wanted to come check on you to see if you're okay." Now, guys listening, I took that as a sign that my fiancée and her friend had slept with someone right after Maggie's friend said that. The phone hung up. I called back immediately, and Maggie apologized, saying she accidentally hung up the phone. I asked her, "So what's this about insides being rearranged?" Maggie replied, "Oh, she's talking about, I said, "Don't you dare lie to me." She then admitted, "Okay, Vanessa slept with the guy she met at the bar." I asked, "So you did as well?" Maggie said, "Absolutely not." I pressed her, "Then why did she say she was there to check on you after saying that?" Maggie told me it was because she threw up before bed, and they had to carry her to the room. I said, "I thought you said you all slept in the car." She replied, yes, we did sleep in the car, but when we got back to our room is when I vomited and I was carried to my bed. I told Maggie I felt like she was lying to me, and I just wasn't buying it. I told her if she wanted to be single and free, she should just tell me, and I'd move on with my life. Maggie told me she never wanted to lose me and made me promise to never consider breaking up again. She started crying on the phone, and it actually made me feel bad. I didn't have hard evidence, but I was accusing her as if I did. On days 5 and 6 of their trip, she called often like before. Then again, on days 7 and 8, nothing. I called her on day 9, and she didn't answer, but she called me before bed that night. Even though I had gut feelings that she was out there cheating, I kept it to myself and acted as if I didn't feel worried about her being out there drinking with her friends. I didn't talk to Maggie again until they were at the airport coming home. When she got back, she was all over me, telling me how much she missed me. I couldn't hold it in, so I told her how it wasn't cool that her friend slept with another man while she had a boyfriend, and I didn't like how it didn't seem to bother Maggie. She told me it was none of our business, and I didn't know the things her friends told her about their relationships. Things aren't all peaches and cream like they are with us. I felt bad for not telling Joe about that. I never said anything. They ended up breaking up 2 weeks after the girls returned home anyway. Maybe he found out somehow, or maybe he tried to have sex with her and realized her walls were stretched or something. I didn't know. Maggie told me that he started to act differently when they returned, and she believed that he was cheating on her. Anyway, we went on to plan our wedding, and during that time, Maggie got pregnant. I was so excited. I was going to be a father and a husband. I was going to have my own family, and that meant everything to me. I was honored. We had our son in 2012, and we married right before he was born. Maggie had the biggest stomach in her wedding dress. She wanted it like that because she thought it would be cute. We got married, had our child, and moved in together. Life was wonderful. I was a happy man. I worked on my career, and she worked on hers. There were never really any complaints. I never worried about anything. I just cared about taking care of my family, making sure my son was good, and making sure my wife was good. She did the same. She cooked and cleaned. And even though she worked, she never complained about it. We both took care of the bills and our son collectively, helping him with homework. It was wonderful. When my son was only 3, my ex-wife wanted to go on a girls' trip with the same girl who cheated on Joe and some other girls from work. I told her not at all. I don't like the girls' trip thing. Maggie made it seem like I was controlling and wanted to rule over her, but I told her it just didn't sit right with me knowing that her friend cheated on someone she was in a relationship with, and that she let it happen. That's just disgusting. Maggie thought I was crazy for thinking that was a problem, saying it wasn't a good reason to keep her from going. I told her, then you can go on this trip, but you know I don't want you to. So if you do go on this trip, you can consider us done? Maggie told me, I'll never forgive you for this, and she called her friend, saying she couldn't go because she had to be here with her family. I told my ex-wife, don't you dare try to make me pay for this. If that's your plan, you might as well go. See a divorce lawyer right now, because I'm not going to stand for that. It's stupid. I don't go on guys' trips, and I'm not going to hang out with boys somewhere, get drunk, and fall asleep in the car. Supposedly, when I said that, she got pissed. What do you mean, supposedly? Are you calling me a liar? I replied, I don't know. I wasn't there with you. It just didn't add up. Back then, she told me I was stuck in the past, and that I shouldn't be thinking about stuff. If I wanted to hold that against her, then maybe she should leave. She said I should have dealt with it back then, but that was not fair at all. We both went to separate areas of the house to calm down. When we came back together, we apologized to each other. She said, I do understand that my story probably sounded a little weird and confusing, but I promise you I didn't lie. I'm sorry if I made you feel like I was lying. I had a hangover. I was tired. I don't know what I was saying, but I assure you that we did fall asleep in the car and got up early in the morning to drive to our hotel. That's the truth. I wouldn't lie to you. I said, okay, it is what it is. I believe you. Maggie then asked, so, is it okay if I go on this trip? I really want to do it. I need a break. I said, yeah, you can go on the trip if I leave our son with my parents. I'll go with you. But if it's by yourself, absolutely not. She got pissed. It doesn't make any sense. Why do you have to come? Why can't I do something on my own? You don't trust me. I replied, I don't trust your friend. and she could be a bad influence. She stressed to me that her friend was married now and wouldn't do anything like that. I said, I don't know. Look, if I can't go, then you're not going. And if you do go, then we're getting a divorce. I'm standing on that. She then told me, fine, whatever. I won't go. I don't even care anymore. I wasn't that excited about it anyway. Fast forward 3 more years, and my ex-wife tried it again. She wanted to go on a trip with the same woman. This time, Maggie's friend had been married for 3.5 years, and they wanted to go on a trip to Florida, a girls' trip, just for the ladies. No men allowed and no children. I stuck to my guns. Absolutely not. You know how I feel about girls' trips? Maggie acted as if she was okay with it for a while, but then she came back with something. Okay, what if I bring our son with me? I said, what? You're going to have my son around alcohol and bars? How is that going to work? She replied, no, silly. They're going to be with us. We're not going to be drinking like that. We're going to go to restaurants where he can go as well. He's just going to tag along, and it'll be fine. We're just going shopping and eating. We're not going to be doing anything crazy like you think. I thought, well, if she takes our son, then maybe they won't be doing anything crazy. He's going to be in a hotel with her, and she has to take him everywhere. It honestly made me feel better about it, but boy, was I an idiot. My ex-wife played me like a flute. She had it all planned out. My ex-wife's friend's little sister, who was 19 years old, was invited on the trip. She was an introverted type of girl, very heavy set, really didn't go out much and liked to stay inside, but she was excited about going on the trip. She was paid to go on the trip because she was going to watch my son. My ex-wife had this 19-year-old babysitting my son on the trip. My ex-wife had her own hotel room, while the 19-year-old girl and my son shared a room. Now, my son was very familiar with this girl, my wife's friend's sister, but that was what I found out, and that was the plan. So even though I was okay with my son going on this trip and thought, well, she won't cheat on me if my boy is there, I still had this gut feeling that I didn't want to ignore this time. So I did some investigating, searching online, and I discovered you can hire a private investigator. The trip was in 3 weeks, so I had enough time to interview some people, and I found my guy. I had a video conference call with a guy in Florida, and it worked out there. This is what he did full-time. He used to be a police officer in Florida. I told him everything and provided a lot of information. He found so much on my wife before we even started. He knew what she did for work and everything. It was something he searched online or some type of database he had, but he knew a lot about her. I even gave him her friend's name. He had a lot of information, and I hired him. I told my wife I wanted all the details regarding where they were going to stay, of course, when they were departing, and where they were going to fly in. I wanted times and everything, and she provided me with everything. Her friend bought all of the tickets, but of course, they all split the costs and paid her back. I had everything I needed, and I hired this private investigator. He told me that if my wife was cheating, he would know and he would find out. I didn't pay him to hack into her laptops or anything like that. I just wanted him to investigate for me. I wanted him to be my eyes because I wasn't going to be there. He got everything. Whenever my ex-wife was out and about, she was not with our son, not once during the 4 days they were gone. She was out having a grand old time, half naked at the pool, kissing on some guy that I had no idea who he was. I assumed it was somebody she had met down there. It turned out to be her ex-boyfriend from college. She met up with this guy down there. It was all set up for the beginning. He knew she was going to be there, so he made arrangements to go. They were making out at the pool, having lunch, and every time she was out, it wasn't even always with her girlfriends. It was like they all split up to do their own thing. My wife wanted to cheat on me. The private investigator didn't have video or pictures of her actually having sex with this guy, but he did follow them into the hotel and was on the elevator with them, recording them, and they had no idea. She was all over him. It was funny because when they got off, I think her ex-boyfriend was a little suspicious, so he tried to let the private investigator go ahead of them. The private investigator kind of stalled, but then he turned right. He looked back and saw that they were walking towards the left, so he started walking towards the left. Her ex-boyfriend yelled, "Dude, are you following us? You don't know where your room is? Where's your room key?" The private investigator said, "Oh my gosh, I got off on the wrong floor. I'm sorry, guys." He went to the elevator and left. That was enough proof for me. That was all the evidence I needed. She was going back to a hotel room with some other guy. She was kissing him, and there were pictures and videos of her making out with this guy. That was all I needed to see. He alerted me while my wife and son were still in Florida. I want to see a lawyer and got things in order. When my wife returned, I couldn't hold it in, and I let her know that I knew all about her cheating and that I was done with her. I scolded her and told her that I saw my son was with Nora and asked if she was watching our son the whole time. Maggie started crying and said yes. She paid Nora to watch our son because she knew he'd be safe with her, and they never left the resort. I went off. She had my child being watched by a child. I never approve of that. I told her I'd already filed for divorce and that we were done. Maggie begged me not to divorce her. She told me she'd do anything in this world to make things right, that the guy meant nothing. I asked her, then who is the guy? Did you just meet him? Did you work with him? Who is he? She stalled and didn't want to tell me. I looked her in the eyes and said, if you want to reconcile, tell me the truth. Who is he? She told me how she knew him from school and said they were friends, but eventually, towards the end, she admitted that they were actually boyfriend and girlfriend in school. I told her we were done. I didn't want anything to do with her. I said I was going to get a DNA test for our child. And for the record, I knew this was my boy, but of course, I wanted to be safe. I told her I was going to get a DNA test for our child, and no matter the outcome, we were done. I was told that I couldn't DNA test our child without her consent. Also, I didn't get the paternity test for my child until the judge ordered it. Here's the kicker, though. The judge told me to my face while we were at a table in a small room that no matter what the outcome was, I was still responsible for him because I signed the birth certificate, and he knows me as his father. However, if I felt like I needed to know, that was okay. I could find out. But the judge made it clear that I was going to remain my son's father no matter what. Maggie pretty much told on herself. She really did not want to do the DNA test. She was a nervous wreck, which clearly indicated that she was cheating on me and that it could have been another man's baby. My son is 99.9% mine. I knew it. I really didn't need the DNA test, but you never know these days. She could have cheated with a family member or something. I went through with the divorce, and she had no choice but to go through with it as well because I was done with her. Surprisingly enough, she was okay with 50-50 custody. She didn't try to take me to the cleaners. She didn't want support. It was fine. Like I said, we both had our own careers, and at the end of the day, she wanted our son to be taken care of and didn't want him to be too affected by our divorce. I got an apartment nearby, and we stayed close to be there for our son. We co-parent pretty well, and still do today. I never slept with my ex-wife again, and I never tried to get back with her. She has tried to get back with me, though, and I made it clear that she should never try that again and that it would never happen. I told her to her face that I was disgusted by her, and she indeed never tried again. My son is healthy and happy. He spends time with me and with his mother. He doesn't complain about anything. He loves hanging out at my place. Sometimes I stay over at the house if I'm hanging out with him, and we're doing something together as a family. But it's not as if my ex-wife and I try to pretend like we're married. It's all strictly for our son. That's it, nothing more. I date here and there, but I've never gotten into anything serious. I don't want to. I'm kind of happy being single. As for my ex-wife, she actually voluntarily told me that she doesn't want to date and has no desire to be with anyone. I didn't ask for that information. She just decided that she should tell me. I guess she thought that would make me want her back or something. I don't know. But thank God for the private investigator I hired. He really helped me out. Without him, I'd probably still be married, wondering if my ex-wife ever cheated. Anyways, goodbye for now. Make sure and don't forget to like and subscribe.